Hi there, Tamara Doris here. And I wanted to prepare a special presentation for you because I think we're at a time right now in the world where this is information we can really use. With everything going on, you have two choices. You can either be part of the solution or part of the problem. And it probably doesn't take too much of a rocket scientist to imagine that being part of the problem encompasses turning into the news, reading all the Facebook posts, freaking out, running to the store, buying, 200 packages of toilet paper. When we come from survival mode, scarcity mode, our energy contributes to the problem. Quite literally, it contributes to the problem. Not only does it drive us insane and stress us out, which is terrible for our bodies, not to mention our dreams, but it also has an effect on mass consciousness. We live in an energetic universe. That's just a scientific fact, right? So I have a presentation that I'm going to give you. And in this presentation, I'm going to take you through what I consider to be the actual factual 6 steps to manifestation. And I do believe that these are not the things that you read about in all the books, maybe my books, but they're not the mainstream how to manifest. So that's why I wanted to share them with you in this way. My whole goal in life, my mission on this planet is to deliver this information in as many ways as I can. That's why I've written so many books with so many different themes. I mean, I have humor, I have all sorts of, I have novels, but it's always the same message if you look at it. So that being said, I'm going to show you this presentation. And then towards the end of the presentation, I'm going to take you for maybe 5 minutes inside Intention Academy. I'm going to give you a sneak peek and let you see inside what it is. Because I talk about it and it's in some of my ads, but you've never seen it unless you've been in it. So I want to show you inside. It's only about 5 minutes. And then after that, I'm going to come back on right here and I'm going to lead you through a brief exercise to help you install these 6 steps in your neural networks, in your energy field. Okay, so that'll be kind of cool. So if you're not interested in Intention Academy, that's totally fine. You can go get a cup of coffee or a glass of wine during that time, or you can just check it out. Either way. But I really think that you'll find the 6 steps useful. Now, before I flip over to the presentation mode, I want to just say that we become really accustomed to hearing our thoughts are things and thoughts are powerful. But I think that we put a little bit too much weight into that statement, because here's the thing. Your thoughts are powerful when they're backed with emotion. But the thoughts that we think all the time, especially the 95% of them that are in our subconscious thinking, those thoughts are just on autopilot. They're just going around and around and around. And it just helps us keep creating and creating our world. But the random thoughts we have, like during the day, like, oh, he's mean, or oh, that wasn't very good of me, or whatever, if they're not attached to an autopilot neural program that's going around in your head, they just go away. There's no power in them. There's just no power in them. They're just fleeting thoughts. It's when we marry a thought and an emotion repetitively that they become powerful. Okay, I want to tell you that because I see a lot of people thinking that, oh no, I can't think that. That's negative. We have to understand that manifestation isn't about watchdogging your thoughts and beating yourself up if you think something bad. Manifestation is about rewiring and reprogramming that 95% of our thinking that's on autopilot, that's causing us under the scenes to have a lower energy and to expect a reality that we're not crazy about. It's about healing past trauma and rewiring our neural networks and raising our energy vibration, and then learning how to embody what it is we want in life. Okay, so let's watch this presentation. Let's watch it. Let's go through this presentation, and then I will see you on the other side for a special exercise. Okay? Okay, so demystifying manifestation, the 6 steps. Now, I didn't just pull the number 6 out of the air. These are truly, in my opinion, education and experience, not just for my own application, but for so many people that I've worked with over the years and so much research that I've done. Now, in this little presentation, I'm not going to waste time telling you about me or my credibility. because you can just Google my name or you can read my books or maybe you already know me. But this is really about me delivering the information that I think is so essential if you are a professional woman who is finding that getting clients and growing abundance is really tricky. You know, you do take one step forward and two steps back. And this has nothing to do with what's going on in the world, you know, with the quarantine. If you're listening to this and we're still in the quarantine, it's not about that, but it is really a good time if you are in that situation to consider these things. To notice that if it resonates with you on a soul level, not just logical. You know, sometimes our logic is overemphasized. We think it's so important that things make logical sense. And I'm telling you that the way that the world is going right now, that we're entering an expanded consciousness of existence. And I don't mean to sound really like I'm Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory, but we really are. Scientifically, we know that things are just expanding. And so this is a really good time for you to embrace what I'm saying here, if it resonates with you. And if it doesn't, and you're just like, yeah, that Tamara is a real wackadoodle, then that's totally fine. Okay, I speak from, you know, from my own experience and, you know, as my authentic self. So if it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. But I really encourage you to consider the possibility of the things that I'm talking about here. Okay, so you can apply this. I said for professional women because that's who I work for, or yeah, with. Those are the people I serve, and that's what I am. But it doesn't mean that these steps don't apply if you're, you know, an older gentleman or a millennial teenager, whatever. It doesn't matter. These are just the way things are. But I really want you to think about it for your business, okay? I'm going to tell you, once you understand this and apply it, which is the hard part, understanding logically is one thing, adopting it and resonating at a soul level and doing it, you know, really experimentally is a whole different ballgame. But I'm telling you that every area of your life begins to change by changing one area. So we focus on our businesses, expanding our businesses and making them more abundant. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to affect other areas of your life, from your health to your wealth to your relationships. Okay? So with that said, let's go to the first slide here. Okay, this is the deepest one. So here's where a lot of teachings in manifestation and the law of attraction really have it wrong. And I think that those teachers and trainers and writers who are leaving this essential step out are really doing a disservice. Because what happens is we think, oh, all we have to do is think happy thoughts, and then, you know, I'm going to meet the love of my life, and I'm going to be rich, and everything's going to be so groovy. But because people aren't teaching this important, incredibly essential first step, there's a lot of people out there who think that the law of attraction is a bunch of, you know, a bunch of baloney. And here's the thing, it's not about happy thoughts. Yeah, of course, I would much rather spend time with someone who's positive and upbeat, and I'm sure you would too. But those happy thoughts on their own, not only are they not nearly as powerful as we'd like them to be, but they're only 5% of our thinking. And I really want you to think about that. 5% of your thinking. So it starts by understanding that you have the power to change the thoughts that are outside of your awareness by identifying them. And here's the thing, if your business isn't where you want it to be, guaranteed there's some self-limiting beliefs holding you back. You know, and in order to become aware of the quality of your subconscious thoughts, you've got to pay attention to your moods, your emotions, and reactions. You know, you can't think about past trauma or upsets and feel good. But here's the thing, and this is where a lot of people miss it. It's so much easier for us to bury icky feelings. It's so much easier for us to eat, drink, shop, spend, gossip, Facebook, you know, whatever, in order to avoid discomfort. It's in our DNA to avoid discomfort. And I know firsthand, oh my goodness, I know firsthand when I was at the bottom of the barrel, And I wanted so badly to learn, how to change my life with my thoughts and blah, 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 blah. And I did all the surface level stuff. And it wasn't until I was willing to clean out the closet. And, it was a really long, really, really long, hard road for me because I didn't have me right now here having done all this research and understanding it to such a level that I can guide people through it. And you can do this yourself. It's just really, really challenging to do it by yourself. But I'm going to explain what I mean by all this. So Carl Jung, my favorite psychologist, said a quote, and I use it all the time because it's so important. So I'm going to say it, and I just want you to let it sink in. He said, "Until you work on the unconscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate." Just think about that. We think things happen to us, but they're really happening for us. And when I say they're happening for us, they're happening from our unconscious desires. And I'm going to tell you, the stuff that happens that you don't like, you've got unconscious desires calling those things into your life. And you may say, "No way, Tamara, I didn't ask for this illness or to get fired or to lose this deal." But there's an unconscious part of you that did. And here's where it gets really hairy and scary. That unconscious part of you that did is doing it to serve a purpose. It's not doing it, to ruin your life. It's trying to serve a purpose based on your early childhood programming, and the things that happened to you that you experienced from birth to age 7, sometimes up to age 14. But those primary years, up until your age 7, that's where a lot of the shadow stuff comes from. So when I say shadow, shadow side, we keep it stuffed down so we don't have to deal with it. But here's the thing, that if you discover it, whatever your shadow is, whatever is lurking beneath the level of awareness, if you embrace it and erase it, that's my phrase right there. Embrace it and erase it, because then we can dissolve it. And let me tell you, with all that extra thought power, like right now, 95% of your thinking is unconscious. Just imagine if a greater percentage of that was geared towards helping you desire and manifest things that you consciously want also. Because right now, it's like David and Goliath, right? You unconsciously, to protect that little girl inside you, you're unconsciously keeping yourself safe. You want greater opportunities. You want more abundance. You want more clients. But there's a shadow side that, wants things that are entirely different. And it's different for everyone. So I can't give you, an absolutely wonderful, exact example that applies to you. It's different. It's different for every person. But just suffice it to say that if you have things in your life that you don't like, especially patterns, oh my gosh, patterns are the biggest. If you have patterns, things going on, like I always spend more than I make, or I never can make enough, or I never can attract enough clients, or I always attract jerky clients, all of those things, that is not your environment. That is not how the world is. That is your unconscious expectations and desires being fulfilled because you are so powerful. It's just that the power is in the wrong area of your brain. It's in your unconscious because it's such a large percentage. So we've got to pull that stuff out. I don't want to belabor on step 1 because we have 5 more to go, but this is the one that I see most manifesting materials short of. Okay? So you are manifesting your desires all the time. It's just that they're subconscious and counterproductive most of the time. And so you don't seem to realize, none of us seem to realize that what's coming from our external world is really coming from our internal world, because we know from consciousness studies, there is only one, and we all are one consciousness. And I know that sounds really crazy in a world of physical matter where we feel separation, but it's really an illusion. And I'm not like all about, let's completely dissolve the illusion of this reality and take the red pill, Neo, because I want to still live. I want to still enjoy luxury. I want to go, float on my boat and drink champagne and, and help people and write books and play with my dogs. And if I was completely without ego, there would be no reason to be here. So I'm not getting that carried away with talking about expanded consciousness. I'm just saying that we operate too much from our unconscious, and we've got to heal the parts of ourselves that are holding us back. And if you have unconscious shadows, like we all do, and you haven't done any shadow work, you haven't addressed that, then I'm almost going to guarantee you, if you're here and you want more clients than you have right now, chances are good that you've got to do some shadow work. Okay, and it's not as bad as it sounds, but we've got to excavate it and dissolve it. We've got to embrace it and erase it. Okay? All right. The good news is that once you do this one single step, your manifestation skills are going to skyrocket. Okay, step 2. Now we know this already, that the entire universe is vibrating energy. I'm sure you've heard this by now, and I'm sure you understand how important it is to have your energy in alignment with whatever it is you want. Now, there are things we can do to raise our frequency. I mean, like singing and dancing and yoga and eating whole foods and drinking lots of water. Just deep breathing and sound therapy can absolutely raise your vibrations. But make no mistake, each of us have a unique energetic signature that's largely based, here we go again, on our subconscious programming. And it has to do with our sense of self-worth, a lot of this. So every living being has an electromagnetic field and, an energy system. That's the scientific terms, but you may know them as auras and chakras, which are not only measurable now, but can be correlated with your brain waves. Your brain wave is, your thoughts are electric and your emotions are magnetic, and that's what forms our electromagnetic field. Okay? The cool thing is, now that we can measure this and even see them with some advanced forms of technology and photography, your energy field vibrates at a certain frequency. Now, sure, it'll change. It'll change when you're happy versus sick, for example, or mad versus sad. But everyone has a basic energetic signature. And the truth is, if you have a weak frequency, you cannot tune into a reality, a dimension, or whatever you want to call it, that's outside of your range. It's just like you can't watch a show on Hulu if you don't have it, no matter how many times you play with your remote. And raising your energy and changing your subconscious beliefs are really kissing cousins, because you can't do one without the other. One affects the other. If you have a high vibe, you likely have, you've done your shadow work, and your subconscious programming is in good shape. And if you have a lot of self-limiting beliefs and you haven't cleaned out the closet, you probably hold a lower frequency. And lower frequencies attract, at a lower level. And I got to add that no matter how great your business cards are or how many Facebook ads you run, if you have a low vibration, if your frequency is low, you're not going to attract your ideal clients. In fact, you will repel them. This is because you can't fake energy. You can pretend to be happy, but your vibes don't lie. And we know now through science and research that people can pick up on it even over the phone. So we really have to focus in this step on keeping your brain and your heart calm and coherent, especially in times of stress. Just think of it like this. When you're stressed out or depressed, those are two different emotions. Stress is like anxiety, high beta, and depression is a lower brain wave, but it's not necessarily a calm brainwave in the sense of positive calm. It's a depressed brainwave. So both of those are very low vibrations. Okay? Big difference in what the brain is doing, anxiety versus depression, but they're both very low vibrational frequencies. And that's what we're focusing on in this step, is keeping our frequency in alignment. I want you to think of this as using your remote control and, pushing the button to find whatever show you want on Netflix. And you have to tune into it. If you don't push, like I'm a big fan right now of Good Girls, if you don't find Good Girls, or if you're looking for Good Girls on Netflix, you're not going to find it because it's on HBO now and Hulu. But if you're on Netflix going, where's Good Girls? Where's Good Girls? And then you're getting all ticked off because you can't find it. It's your frequency. And it's true with the streaming TVs. It's a frequency. This is all electromagnetic frequencies. Everything's on frequencies. for many, many, many years and decades. You know, when we talk about as human beings, we think it's a little out there, but it's absolutely the same thing. Absolutely. So you've got to keep your frequency in alignment to whatever it is you're trying to manifest. Okay? So the third step is everything in your world is a mirror reflecting your subconscious mind. Now, remember in the step one where I talked about your unconscious, your subconscious thinking and your shadow and all of that. This is where you see it. It comes out. And this is how it works. Your subconscious expectations from yesterday, and we can just say the past, has created the world you see around you today. Now, if you go ahead and you react to that physical reality that you created from the past negatively, as we tend to do, you're quite literally recreating the same thing for tomorrow. Do you see the insanity of this? You know, in one of my books, I gave the analogy of going to a movie theater and being disappointed with the film and then shooting the screen. It isn't the screen's fault. The creation is coming from the projection room. Your subconscious thinking is the projection room of your life, and your current physical reality is merely reflecting that back to you. So instead of reacting to what you've created, start seeing things the way that you want them to be. Really important manifestation tip here. Whenever someone's bugging you, take a look at the reason why, and you'll see it somehow reflecting one of your own traits or a trait you need to develop. And definitely, everything that you see around you that you don't like, people, places, situations, events, it's always been manifested from your unconscious desires. It goes back to shadow work. Now, you can argue with me and you can say, what about, you know, like this virus going on right now? What about all of this? Well, you guys, there's a thing called mass consciousness. And the more people that hold these unlimiting, self-sabotaging beliefs unconsciously, they're like I just talked about with the remote control. They're tuning in to the fear frequency. And energy is very, very real. And if I'm tuning into the fear frequency, I'm going to be in alignment with the thousands, millions of other people who are also watching the fear frequency program. And all of a sudden, it becomes a mass conglomerate of fear. Do you see how that works? I absolutely attribute this to what was I going to say? Not national, natural, that's my word. Natural disasters, you know, horrible crimes. A lot of this has to do with mass consciousness. So you single-handedly are not responsible for, you know, some horrible thing that's happening. But quite likely on a mass consciousness level, if you are vibrating at that frequency, you are definitely contributing to it, which is what we have going on right now, which is why it's so important to stay positive. And I don't mean positive like hunky-dory, head in the sand. I mean to really cultivate the joy and the gratitude. And, you know, it's a really good time to do that shadow work because right now all this stuff's coming up, but I'm not going to keep talking about shadow work. So the first step we talked about, though, is this is a reflection of that. So whatever you subconsciously created is going to show up as a mirror. And so instead of trying to throw a rock at the mirror or get mad at the mirror, think about what the mirror is reflecting. And that's how you know what work you need to do. What are you seeing around you that you don't like? And this applies to your business. For example, if you don't have enough clients, that's simply a reflection of your subconscious thinking that what? It's not safe to have clients, or you're not good enough, or not deserving, or no one wants what you sell, or no one likes you. It could be any number of things, but that's where you have to address it. Not, you know, dumping more money into Facebook ads. So just remember, everything is a mirror, and use it because it's a tool, it's a blessing. Even neuroscience tells us that everything in our external world is just a reflection of what's going on internally. You know, we know our optic nerves, we know that we don't necessarily even see through our eyes. I know that sounds weird, but that's the latest research. We're not even necessarily seeing through our eyes. We just think we are. So it's really important that we understand that everything in your life is a mirror and use it as the tool it's meant to be. Our next step, fourth step. The universe wants to meet you halfway. Now more advanced science and technologies and things that we get, the more all fingers point to what is becoming more and more difficult to debate, and that is that there is an infinite loving intelligence. And the loving part, what throws most mainstream scientists off their rocker, but it's true. The line between science and spirituality have become so blurred that it's really, really hard to keep them apart. And I say this as someone who has studied and researched so much science, it would make your head spin. And it's just hilarious in a kind of not funny way that it comes back full circle to there's an infinite intelligence, it's loving, it's divine. I mean, and science and spirit both say this, and yet we always think science and spirit are so far apart. But here's the thing about the universe meeting you in the middle. And seriously, it can do much more heavy lifting than you could ever hope for. But you have to trust it. We've become so brainwashed with traditional religious dogma that many of us have a hard time accepting that there's something bigger, like a zillion times bigger, that has our back. Part of trusting the universe has to do when things don't go your way. You know what most of us do when things go south is we get pissed off without considering the fact that maybe, just maybe, the universe was either giving us a message, like, hey, you're off your path, or giving us a hand. Hey, I'm taking you this way, you'll get there faster. Okay? It may be a stretch, but I implore you to consider something that I know for sure is true, and that is the fact that we come here with a sole purpose. Most of us get off track, but the universe is guiding us. Sometimes we need a nudge, like a traffic ticket, and other times we need a big bop in the head, like a disease. But once we start to understand that literally everything that happens to us is a message and support, even if that message is you still have some stuff to heal, then we need to stop reacting to life and start responding to it. So the next time a deal falls through or you catch someone cheating, try to step out of victimhood and survival mode and reflect on what the message could be or what the guidance could be. Because the universe is communicating with you all the time if you pay attention. Okay? The universe wants to meet you halfway. And it's not the enemy. This infinite intelligence is absolutely 100% loving, and it's just waiting for you to take the guidance and to take steps towards what your dreams are. And the fifth step. So recall from steps 1 and 2, we've got our subconscious thinking that we don't know about, and we've got our energy, which we're learning more and more about. And those are the two things that you attract with. Absolutely. There's nobody that can debate that. Those are the two things that you manifest with. So one of the quickest and most effective ways to do that is through connecting with your higher self. I said the universe wants to meet you halfway, but you gotta have the universe over for dinner, right? So you've got to connect with your higher self. So I want you to imagine here you are in your physical reality, and then imagine that right outside the top of your head, there's this little orb of light, this little energy ball. And that energy ball has a zillion strings going out, silver strings going out to the universe, to infinite intelligence. And that's kind of how I see it. Now, for this statement, we don't have scientific evidence. I think a lot of psychics have said this or something similar, but it's how I envision it with the gifts that I have developed for myself with energy and understanding it. And that is that our higher self is kind of a liaison, if you will. And so we have to connect with our higher self if we want to have that direct connection with infinite intelligence. Now, I'm not saying if you happen to be a person, who prays, I'm not saying that you don't have a direct outlet to God or infinite intelligence or the universe. You absolutely can and might. But I am saying that most people are operating at the ego level and have completely locked their higher self in the attic. And so oftentimes we don't even know that we have a higher self, but I promise you she's there. And so a lot of things that would lead to this is if you don't feel like truly happy, if you feel like what's missing, I know I have to have a higher purpose. This can't be it. Or why does this always happen to me? Or why does she have that and I don't? Or why can't I get more clients? When we start questioning ourselves like that, we're not in touch and in constant interaction with our higher self. Okay? So this is a soul thing. This is at a soul level. If your subconscious thoughts and energy aren't at that level, you're not going to have that connection with your higher self. And I'm the first to say, and I tell my coaching clients this over time, and in some of my posts and my books, you've got to have that connection with your higher self. Because when you are working in concert with your higher self, things just flow so much easier. But it's our egos that want to resist things, that push and pull and force. Our higher self is just like, hey, let's just hop on this raft and float a little while. Such a huge, big difference. And this is why I'm such a huge proponent of meditating. Because when we meditate, we are in direct communication with our higher self. And again, you don't have to take 5 steps to communicate with infinite intelligence. When you are acting, and I don't mean acting like fake, but I mean when you are being your higher self, that connection with infinite intelligence is automatic. It's automatic. So you've got to connect with the universe, the quantum field, whatever you want to call it, so your higher self can help you become the person who's living on purpose and who has whatever it is you want to manifest. Recall the mirror, right? If we're spending our time reacting to the world around us, that means we're in survival mode, which is always stress-based. And you can't connect with your higher self from a high beta brainwave. You've got to slow your roll. Now, if you know me, you know that I teach meta creation. But if you don't know me or what that is, you can read it in any of my books. But basically, it's just about calming your busy brain and sinking inside your heart so that you can make that quantum connection and then create from there. And I want to say something here that I think is crucial to your success. And it might turn some people off, but that's okay. I know the work I'm here to do, and I stand by it. But if you're not connected to your higher self, you can't connect with source. It's so hard. And that infinite intelligence, the quantum field that I know has our back, I honestly believe that the majority of our problems on our planet are due to the fact that most humans have lost that connection. And it has everything to do with your soul being happy and being able to manifest at its highest level. One thing I found in 20 years of serious study is that the most successful people in the world had this connection. Whether they call it meditation or praying or tapping into their intuition, I'm talking virtually everyone you can think of who has great wealth and success would fall into this category. That's something to think about, right? If our business isn't running and growing the way we want it to, chances are we're not in constant contact with our higher selves. That's such an important component. I don't care if you talk about it professionally or not, but if you're not bringing your spirit into your business, there is no spirit in your business. Okay? And again, it doesn't matter. You don't have to bring it in, you have to post it in Facebook. Had a conversation with my higher self today, talked to God, had infinite intelligence over for lunch. It's not about that. It's about you. It's about you being your authentic self, which is your higher self, which is not the person who gossips or judges or criticizes or worry about what she's wearing or what he said to who. That's your ego self. And again, I'm not here to kill your ego. We have to have egos are good. They keep us alive. They keep us in fun competition. They keep us wanting, luxury. But they've taken over. And that's what I'm talking about. It's one thing to have a good healthy self-esteem that stems from your ego. We should all have that. But when that ego self has spanned out and grown and literally pushed your higher self quite literally out of your skin where she's not even anywhere to be found, that's a problem. And if you're trying to manifest from that place, that's a problem. Because it's not us individually that have the power to manifest. It's our connection with the energy of the universe, with the matrix, with the quantum field. That's how we create. We're just like little satellites, like little cell phone server things. We're just like little satellites that happen to have brains and desires and egos and 5 senses, so that we can filter what we want and broadcast it out into the quantum field. And the quantum field, being energetic as it is, can match our frequency. But if we are not in connection with our higher self, where we're connecting directly with source, I'm telling you, it is hard. It's like moving matter with matter. And that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works when it comes to manifestation. It's not moving matter with matter. Sure, you need to take action. That was the step about meeting the universe halfway, that it will meet you halfway. You've got to move toward what you want. You've got to move toward it. That's the action you need to take. But this connection is crucial. Okay? And then the sixth step is called embodiment, release, and expect. So I honestly believe this is one of the toughest steps after you've, gone through the first one of really getting in touch with your subconscious thoughts and the mirror and all of this. This is a tricky one. And I say it's tricky for two reasons. On the first hand, it's tricky because some people will just go immediately to this step. I'm a big fan of Neville Goddard, and Neville Goddard talked a lot about embodying it. Act as if. Assume the feeling as if already having. And I've written that in my books many times. So it's super, super important. But if you bypass all the other stuff, it's just acting. The other thing is when you're embodying it, it is raising your vibrational set point. So that's really, really good. But if you don't do the other 5 steps and you don't have that connection with infinite intelligence or the quantum field, it's really impossible to maintain that higher vibration. But the flip side is that once you really have that connection, not only is it easier to manifest, it's just not as much a priority. And I know that sounds like a contradiction, but I swear to you, the more you want something and the more that you want something, the more important it is to release it as if you don't need it. Okay, does that make sense? Because attachment to outcome doesn't give the universe any leeway it needs. And what you think something is going to come to you in one way, it could come to you in a completely different way. So it's really important that we are not attached to the outcome or the how. I always say that. Things always happen in the now, because in quantum science, there is no time and space. It's always now. And you never need to worry about the how. Super, super important because we have this left brain and we're always trying to figure things out, right? We always want to figure things out. And another thing I want to say is you may think you want something and then you might get the exact opposite and get all mad. But what you were given may turn out to be way better. Okay, way better than what you thought you wanted. Okay, so let's just talk for a moment about embodiment. So I know releasing isn't easy because we like to be in control, but let me tell you, the universe can cook up some methods that you would never even dare to dream of. You couldn't even imagine them if you tried. So let's just put the how aside and let's just talk about embodiment. Embodiment is the feeling of already having what you want before you see any signs of it and not losing faith that you will have it. That's what makes manifestation. That's like the icing on the manifesting cake. And I do believe that that's also a definition of faith, right? You want me to feel like I already have this and I don't? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And that's exactly what I think defines faith, right? And I know faith can be a loaded word. So let me lay it out like this. I define faith as holding an intention in your heart and in your imagination and trusting that the universe is going to bring it to you as long as you keep moving towards it. And the more things that show you that you don't have it, the more opportunity you have to demonstrate that faith. That's it. It's like, I wanted this, but I got this. That's okay. This is an opportunity for me to say, I don't care. It's still coming. Maybe not the way I thought, but that's okay. It's coming. I'm going to tell you, from Oprah Winfrey to Mahatma Gandhi to Martin Luther King Jr. to Steve Jobs to, oh my gosh, Arnold Schwarzenegger, just anyone I can think of who I have the greatest respect for because of their manifesting skills will back me up on this. They've said it. I've read that they've said it. I mean, I'm telling you that this is the thing. They already imagine it and make a decision in their mind and they begin to embody it. I love to talk about Arnold because, hi, let me just be a bodybuilder and win Mr. World, Mr. Universe a few times. Then I think I'll go to Hollywood and be a blockbuster actor. And I think I'll just run the state of California for a while. That doesn't happen. And by his own admission, in his own book, which is great if you haven't read it, big book, he imagined each role. He imagined it. He made a decision, a mental, emotional decision, a spiritual decision. And he decided it and he imagined it and he acted as if. He embodied it. Beautiful example of someone who can embody things. And he moved towards it. And each time it happened. I just want you to understand. And if you don't like Arnold, think of someone else. Oprah, horrible childhood, raped, pregnant, and had a baby that died when she was 13. And she was raped by a couple of different people. Came from a very, very, poverty background. And was overweight and told she could maybe do radio and just all sorts of stuff. But no, she saw herself doing something else and she embodied it and she moved towards it. And if one obstacle pops up, that's just the universe saying, oh, take this street instead, right? It's not the universe saying, oh, you're a failure, you suck, you're not good enough, go home. Because you know why? The universe doesn't talk like that. If one road is blocked, one obstacle comes up, it just means you're being nudged and encouraged to go a different way. Sure, sometimes you may be nudged in a completely opposite direction, but again, it's probably because something even better is waiting for you. And I will say this. If you're desiring from your ego, and you can say, okay, Tamara, I want this, and I'm going to manifest it, and I'm going to embody it, and I'm going to feel like I have it. And you just run into obstacle over obstacle. It's entirely possible that two things. One, that you're not setting your desires from your higher self. You're letting your ego come out to play, and you're being very materialistic and very ego-based. And the universe is being like, nope, that's not what you're here to learn. You got to go deeper, baby. So that's one thing that I see a lot. But the other one is, if these obstacles keep coming up, it's very possible that you haven't got rid of the 95%. I shouldn't say 95% because not all of it's bad, but the unconscious counter beliefs. Because you can say you want to be a multimillionaire and you can embody it, and you can say, but I meditate, Tamara, and I'm in touch with my higher self, and this is what she wants too. But if you still have those limiting beliefs subconsciously that say, oh, you're not good enough, your manifestation power is going to be going towards proving that you're not good enough. And it's going to bring you all the things in the world that show, hey, you're not good enough. So you see, that's why we've got to clean out that closet. Really, really important. So anyway, keep with this one, the positive expectation and the releasing. Just looking at my notes to see if there's anything else I wanted to say. I hear a lot of people say that they have faith, and I don't mean in a religious sense necessarily, but let me just say that when stuff hits the fan and then they freak out, that's the opposite of faith. That's the very definition of the opposite of faith. So it's when you're in the eye of the storm. It's when you're in the eye of the storm that is the most important for you to expect. And I'm just using the word expect on this slide in place of faith, just because faith can be a loaded word. But you've got to embody it, you've got to release the need for it, and then you've got to expect it. And so the last thing I'll say, because I don't really think I said this on releasing the need, is I know I said don't be attached, but releasing the need is that you're embodying it with such intense emotion and expectation of having it that you don't even need it. Right? That sounds so counterintuitive, but it's like that. If we're acting like we have all these wonderful things we want, like this big, beautiful, abundant business and all the clients, and we're just feeling it and feeling it and feeling it, putting out the frequency of that, it doesn't matter if it's here or not. Why? Because the reason we want it here is to get that feeling. And if we can get that feeling first, it's going to find us faster. You've got to focus on the feeling. You've got to focus on the feeling. That's exactly how you raise your vibration, how you begin to rewire your neural networks, and do all of this work. Okay, so hopefully this has been useful. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to show you inside of Intention Academy, which is a membership-based website, so members only, and it is 8 separate modules. But I just want to kind of give you an idea of when you're in Intention Academy, what it is. First of all, I have a butterfly. And the reason that I have a butterfly is because this is all about transformation. And there's a lot of caterpillars rolling around out there. And there's also a lot of people that are in their cocoon and they're just waiting to make that breakthrough. So regardless of where you are in your journey, transformation is the ultimate goal. So the modules, and this is week 1, so I have an introduction video. Then I have a syllabus here, which is the program overview. But what you'll find in each week is an introduction of the module. Then you'll find a main training. Sometimes you'll have a secondary training. But up in the right-hand corner, there's a morning meta-creation session. And these are progressive. So each module, it gets a little bit different. And each module also has an evening hypnotherapy session. And then I have something called Take 10. And the Take 10 is a 10-minute, roughly 10-minute audio that prepares you for the journaling assignment. And I'll just show you here real quick. So you will have handouts for every week, and it can be different, number of pages. But I ask you to do the Take 10 before. And the reason for this is because in Intention Academy, while, I think a lot of people that are in this group or in this program definitely have a spiritual side to them, but one of the reasons that they're attracted to my work or have read my books are because I really base things on rock solid science. But in the Take 10 audios of each module, I add a little bit of spirituality to it just to kind of help you get grounded before you do the worksheets. Because if we try to do our journaling and our worksheets from our busy brain, we're just going to be answering the questions consciously. And so I invite you in the Take 10s of each module to get a little bit deeper and, maybe do a little guided mini, as in small, mini, M-I-N-E, I can't spell, M-I-N-I. A little mini meditation just to help ground you so that you can get deeper into your worksheets. So here you see we do the EFT training. I will show you. Let's go to week 3. Week 3 is a really intense one because it's all about healing our inner child and our past pains. And most of us have trauma. So again, you have your overview for module 3. Then you have your main training, which is always a video. Then we do some EFT on healing. In this module, you'll notice that I have 2 hypnotherapies, and that's because it's so important that we really understand how to heal this inner child. Now, I've had people go through this program that say they have come back and done the inner child hypnotherapy, not just for the week of the module, but over and over again. So these are things that you definitely will want to come do over and over again. And then I also in this week teach you about subliminal recordings and offer a subliminal recording here. And subliminal recordings are just music that has affirmations underneath it, but it bypasses your conscious brain. Okay, so each week a new module opens, but I'm here to tell you that because this program is so robust, you won't get through each module in a week. Some you'll spend 2 weeks on, some 3 weeks, some you'll do half of it and then you'll go on to the next week. And that's perfectly fine because the program is designed that you can be at any level that you want to. It doesn't matter. And then let me switch over to talking about just for a moment about our weekly calls. So the groups are very small. These are 8-week groups. When I open it up for enrollment, I open it up a month in advance for enrollment. I give you something to keep you busy before we start. But you basically will be with the same group of women. And I have had these groups as small as 3 or 4 people, and I've had them as large as 12, I think 12, maybe 15. I will never go over 20 because it's really important that we maintain the integrity of the group and that all the women are like-minded. That's the reason that I have you fill out an application and that I have a phone call with you. I don't just have a button on my website where you can say, okay, yeah, break this up into 2 payments or whatever, because it's important that you are in alignment with this work and the group of women that you'll be working with, because that's just so important. So we have a Zoom call once a week. And, that's where we get to know each other, and that's where you ask your questions, and that's where you talk about your challenges, and I coach you right there on the spot. And one of the reasons these calls are so important, I mean, of course I record them and then I put them in our Facebook group. But here's the thing. When you are on the calls and you're communicating with me, I can pick up from your energy and your language, the language you use, and the obstacles you're facing. And I can coach you right then and there. And here's the thing, whatever someone is going through, you're going to find it's almost crazy. It's almost creepy crazy that like 3 other women in the group are going through the same thing, just, different names and faces. So whatever question you have, guaranteed someone else is going to, either has dealt with it or is going through it right then or will go through it. So each person, when you're speaking or you're explaining your challenge, it's just crazy how often other people will relate to it and be there to support you as well. But I really love to have you on the calls live so I can coach you real time. And I tell a lot by your energy. I'm very intuitive. So I pick up on your energy and I'm very experienced. I've been doing this a long, long time. And I also pick up on your language. And we don't know what we don't know. So you may say a certain thing and I can catch where, what are you telling yourself? What is that story? And so it's really a rapid way, in my opinion, to help make the work really, really get absorbed faster. Then we also have a twice a month call that's our intention sessions. And I'm not going to give too much away about this. I prefer to explain it on the actual calls, but let's just say that you have other people sending intentions for whatever your intention is, and you're sending your intention for other people's intentions to come true. And there is so much power in that, and that is all science-based, which I will explain. And if you've read my book, Mind Over Matter, then you know a little bit about the science behind it already. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of it. And of course we have a private Facebook group that I'm very, very active in, that you can ask any questions. I give you training. I'm there for you all the time. But here's where I'm different than most other coaching programs, and that's something called the Grad Group. Now the Grad Group is after you're done with Intention Academy, you go into the Grad Group. And I just want to show you, this is real time right now today as of April 1st. I just want to show you how active. I don't want to give any of my clients' privacy away, but I just want you to see how active this group is, okay? This is an active group. Now, what do you get in the Grad Group? Well, you get a monthly group coaching call. So again, you get that group coaching call. I also will ask you to consider having an accountability partner or an intention setting partner. We also have a once a month intention session. And on these intention calls, we do little intuition trainings and things like this, but it's all about getting grounded, connecting, and putting the power and the energy of our minds and our hearts together to help one another's intentions come true. So, and then the one last thing that I didn't mention is, as part of this program, you also get a couple of one-on-one calls with me. As much as the group dynamic and the synergy of the group is just so phenomenal for growth and for manifesting, there are just things that you want to talk about privately, or some childhood trauma or adult trauma that you want to just have a one-on-one. And so I not only allow a couple of calls, I encourage them, and sometimes someone needs more, and that's okay. So I really like to have that one-on-one time with you too, because we can get to your private personal matters a lot more faster if we just spend time with you and working on your stuff. Maybe it's hypnotherapy, maybe it's EFT, maybe I read your cards. I don't know, whatever I feel compelled to do to help you get from point A to point B. So that is about Intention Academy, and I hope that you can see the great value in it. So what did you think of that? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it resonated with you, and I hope it gave you some ideas. Now I'm going to put my readers on, and I'm going to lead you through an exercise. And I have my glasses on because I want to read from my notes so that I'm in alignment and saying exactly what I want to say. So let's start by closing your eyes. And let me just preface that by saying, if you're not driving, don't listen to this part when you're driving. But hopefully you're in a place where you can have 5 minutes of peace and quiet by yourself and not have to answer your phone and not, no Facebook notifications. Just relax for a minute. And I'm going to tell you, 5 minutes closing your eyes and 5 minutes of just getting grounded in your body can do so much for your soul. I mean, it's just amazing. Just think about when you step outside, even in your own backyard if you have one, and it's just like nature, sunshine, trees, right? That's your soul vibrating, raising its frequency, saying, yeah, more of this. Well, it's the same thing when we relax and go inside ourselves. So I'm going to encourage you to just close your eyes right now and just take a couple of natural breaths in and out. Just exhale. Good. And just kind of sink into your heart. Because remember, as we go through all the changes in the world right now, it really is about raising through our lower chakras into our heart chakra so that we can raise our vibration as a civilization, right? So keeping your eyes closed and sinking down into your heart, I'm just going to read these 6 steps to you, nice and gently, and just allow these words, as they're true to your higher self, to sink inside both your energy field and your subconscious mind. Number 1, you manifest from your subconscious mind. And the way to tell what's in your subconscious mind is by being aware of your moods, your emotions, and your reactions. Number 2, your energy field dictates your frequency. Do your best to maintain a high vibrational frequency. Number 3, everything in your world is a mirror. Instead of reacting to what you don't like, explore it, examine it. It's just reflecting a part of you, a part of your subconscious mind, a part of your energy. Number 4, the universe will always meet you halfway. Let it do the heavy lifting. It loves you. Number 5, connect with your higher self, just like we're doing right now. Give yourself space every day to make that connection a soul connection. Think about meditating and meditating every day, trusting your intuition. And number 6, start embodying your dreams. Emotionally become the person who already has what you want. That's embodiment. And then learn to trust and let go. And so as you breathe that in, and you can go ahead and open your eyes now if you have them closed, I want you to really feel what it feels like to be calm. And just imagine if you didn't have 95% of your brain telling you things like you're not good enough, you don't deserve this, you're not lovable, whatever lies it's telling you. Just imagine if that wasn't going on. And I'm telling you that by doing these practices that I just read to you, or doing coaching, just meditating can really, really, really take you far. Because at the end of the day, especially if you are a professional woman who's watching this or watching me because you have a business and you want to expand it and you want to experience more abundance and you want to attract more clients, it all starts here. It all starts here. When we don't do these practices, we suffocate our soul. And then we go into scarcity mode, we go into survival mode. We start spending a lot of money on ads that we can't even afford. The ads aren't going to get you anywhere. Or we buy lead generation things. And we come from a place of scarcity. And that's not how you grow an abundant business. So that's my message to you. If you'd love to talk to me as much as I'd love to talk to you about Intention Academy, follow the link below and fill out an application to see if you're a good fit. And otherwise, I just hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching.